The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, Plant City. This is Mayor Rick Lott. At this time, I'd like to call this virtual commission meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll? Okay, we'll try this again. Here.
Mayor Lott.
Here.
Commissioner Dodson.
Here.
Commissioner Sparkman.
Here.
Commissioner Mathis.
Here.
Commissioner Vice Mayor Hilton.
Here.
Mayor, all present.
Great, we have a quorum this evening. Commissioners, I know we're meeting again tonight, and I can't wait for us to be able to meet in person here soon, but I miss all of y'all, and hope everyone's doing well. But tonight we'll get through this meeting virtually, and hopefully as soon as possible we can, have a meeting in private, or have our public meetings open so we meet with our public again. So, and again, I just want to say hello tonight, and I'm looking forward to having a successful meeting this evening. As always, we always start our meeting in prayer, and then after prayer, we always have a pledge of allegiance to our flag. And so tonight, we're very, very honored to have on the line with us this evening Reverend Dennis Roebuck from the First United Methodist Church. Reverend, thank you so much tonight, and we appreciate you leading us in prayer.
Thank you, Mayor Lott. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we know that when Solomon became king, you promised him anything he asked. But Solomon asked only for the discernment to know right from wrong in the governing of God's people. We ask that you would touch our hearts tonight, that we, the leaders of this blessed community, may have that same discernment. We live and serve in very difficult times. Our neighbors are hurting. Some are facing eviction. Some loss of jobs. Some not knowing where their next meal is coming from. Our hearts are heavy. Yet the business of this great city must go on. Now, dear Lord, we ask that you would lay your hand of blessing upon Mayor Lott and each commissioner tonight, that each decision will reflect heartfelt discernment, and your continued wisdom and guidance will prevail within this body of government during these most difficult times. Now we ask that you bless these proceedings and protect all from this terrible virus. In your holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Reverend, we appreciate you being online with us this evening, at least in prayer. We appreciate it so much. And please tell your congregation we appreciate them reaching out to our city and support those in need, as you always do. So thank you so much for being here this evening, and I'm sure we'll have you back in the future. At this time,
My pleasure.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you put the flag up on the screen so that we can have our Pledge of Allegiance? There you go. At this time, if we could, let's all say the salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I know that's hard to come in clear as we do that all together, but we all know that what's in our heart. So again, Reverend, thanks again for being here this evening. Madam Clerk, what is the next order of business?
Public comment.
Okay. Public comments for this meeting are accepted by electronic submission or mail to the city clerk, and any public comments received are disseminated to the city commission electronically prior to the start of the meeting for review and inclusion into the meeting's official record this evening. We want to thank everyone for your comments, and obviously in public comments in a live meeting, you'd be presenting them live, but we do appreciate you submitting them electronically this evening. Madam Clerk, what's the next order of business?
Consent agenda.
Before I ask for approval of the consent agenda, does any commissioner like to pull an item for further consideration? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the commission?
This is Commissioner Mathis. Move to approve the consent agenda.
Commissioner Dodson, I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Mathis and a second by Commissioner Dodson to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mayor Lott.
Yeah. Yes.
Commissioner Dodson.
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman.
Yes.
Commissioner Mathis.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hilton.
Yes.
And it's approved with a vote of 5-0. The consent agenda is.
That's 5-0.
Thank you so much. I can tell you what, Mr. City Manager, that is one heavy consent agenda, and there's a lot of detail in there and a lot of items that are moving our city forward. And so I'm really sure that you're going to comment on that a little bit later on. But again, I hope our citizens see just how much work and progress we made in our city through that consent agenda. Madam Clerk, what's the next order of business?
Reports to officers, boards, and committees.
Okay, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's good to be here virtually again with everyone, and good to hear your voice over the long distance connection, Mr. Mayor. A few things very quickly in my printed city report. I provided you quarterly reports and updates from our Boys and Girls Club, Main Street, Railroad Museum, Plant City Economic Development Corporation, and also the Plant City Chamber of Commerce. These reports are for your information and in keeping with the Commission's direction people desire this information on a quarterly basis. I want to remind everyone that we have two very important workshops scheduled and coming up in the month of August. On Monday, August the 10th at 5 p.m., which would be prior to the City Commission meeting on the same date, we will be holding a planning code workshop. This is a commission-requested meeting to review our planning code and look at various options, strategies, and future developments that we might want to entertain and undertake.
I'm sorry, Mr. City Manager.
A presentation.
Mr. City Manager?
We will have
Hello?
a
I hear you,
consultant expert provide some
I can't
insight,
hear him.
as well as obtaining information from our planning department. As a part of that,
Mr. City Manager, Mr. City Manager. Mr. City Manager, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought maybe it was just myself, but I just heard from two other commissioners that we're having a really hard time hearing you. It's very, very muffled. I don't know if there is something you can do to make it be a little more clear.
Same way with the clerk.
Yeah,
And we're having trouble with you, Madam Clerk, as well. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not able to understand either.
No one's.
Okay,
It's not-
can you hear me this way?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yes, we can hear you now. Yes. But before it was not audible. So if I could recommend you to go
Mr.
back to the
Mayor,
beginning
can you
of your
hear me now?
report.
Okay, I'm trying one more time.
That sounds perfect. Vice Mayor, thanks for bringing that up. I thought it was just me. So I'm glad it wasn't.
Okay, from the top maybe?
I think that would be recommended, sir.
All right. Referring to my printed city manager's report, I have attached the quarterly reports from Boys and Girls Club, Main Street, the Railroad Museum, and Plant City Economic Development Corporation, and also our Plant City Chamber of Commerce. These are the commission requested quarterly reports for your information, and so that we can see the activities of these various organizations that are supported by the city in part. I also want to remind everyone that we have two very important workshops coming up in the month of August. The first one on Monday, August the 10th at 5 p.m. will be a planning workshop where we will have an opportunity to review our planning code and discuss various options and strategies and changes that we might like to make. In addition to our planning staff providing input, we also have a consulting expert that will be available at that evening to answer questions and facilitate the discussion. So very important meeting. And again, that's August 10th, 5 p.m. prior to that day's scheduled city commission meeting. We also have on Monday, August 24th at 5 p.m. a special city commission meeting, which will be our budget workshop for the next fiscal year. As you know, this is our opportunity to go through the proposed budget in detail, not only with the commission, but also to give the public a look at that. And we have been working to schedule individual briefings for all the commissioners ahead of that meeting. They are done. If we have one or two of you, that will be done this week, but that is another very important meeting coming up in August. And again, that's August 24th, 5 p.m. for our budget workshop. Moving along, I want to provide updates on two very important staffing developments here in our city organization. First of all, our police chief, Ed Duncan, has notified me of his desire to retire by the end of the current calendar year. Chief Duncan has served our city as our police chief for 6 years as of this month. And he's let me know he's closing in on his 65th birthday, and he has now reached 45 years of total law enforcement service. And I think Chief Duncan wants to go out and scale Mount Everest or something like that. So, you know, he's got a well-deserved retirement ahead, and we certainly respect that and wish him the best. As part of this process, and after very careful consideration, on my part of several recruitment firms that could undertake the search for a police chief, I have settled upon the firm of Baker Tilly to lead our recruitment effort for our next chief of police. Working with Baker Tilly, I plan to conduct a national search for the most qualified, best suited candidates for this important position. Baker Tilly is a firm with an outstanding track record of experience recruiting police chiefs around the country for cities our size all the way up to major metropolitan centers. This recruitment contract is going to run a total of $24,500, and it is my intention to execute the letter of agreement with Baker Tilly tomorrow and get that process started. It is my intention for this to be a transparent and collaborative process with appropriate community engagement along the way. I will keep the commission and our citizens informed as we reach significant milestones in what will prove to be a several months long process. But I wanted to let everyone know about that tonight. I think three essential elements of this. A, our police chief has notified me of his intent to retire. B, I intend to engage in a national search to find the best possible candidates for us to consider for our next police chief. And I intend to use the firm of Baker Tilly to assist in that recruitment effort. I also am pleased to report tonight that we have made a job offer to a new library services director, Mr. Paul Shaver. Mr. Shaver is currently the library director in Montvale, New Jersey. He has a progressive history of responsibility in the library services. This is the second time he served as the director of a library. Mr. Shaver accepted our offer of employment as our new library director, and he is scheduled to start on Monday, August the 24th, and take on that role in our city. Mr. Shaver has a Master's of Library and Information Sciences from Rutgers University. He also has a Master of Arts for Certified Teachers from Fairleigh Dickinson University. And he also has a Bachelor of Arts in International Studies from Ramapo College. In addition to English, Mr. Shaver is fluent in Spanish, and he has working conversational abilities in French, Italian, Portuguese, and Russian. Mr. Shaver was a very strong candidate throughout our recruitment and selection process, and I'm very happy to be able to announce that he has been selected to serve as our next library services director, again starting on Monday, August 24th. With that, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, I will let the rest of my report stand for itself, and I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Any questions from the Commission for the City Manager?
Mr. Mayor, this is Commissioner Mathis, and I have a question, please.
Good. Good, Commissioner Mathis.
Good evening to you as well. Thank you so much, Mr. City Manager, for that report. And I know you're working on the contract with Baker Tilly, but do you have any idea how long of a process that may be for hiring our new police chief?
Yes, ma'am. I would expect on the short end 90 days, so 3 months, and I wouldn't be surprised if it could carry us up to almost 4. And that's why I want to get this process started now, even though the chief has given us notice well in advance of the end of the calendar year.
Any other questions, Commissioner Mathis?
No, that's it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Great question. Any additional questions for the City Manager? So City Manager, so hopefully we're going to have some, time where the new police chief and our existing police chief have an opportunity to be able to have an exchange of command. Is that your goal?
Yes, sir. My goal is to finish this process in time to have a overlap between the two commands so that there is a very smooth transition.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Any other questions to the city manager? Seeing none, thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. City Manager. Mr. City Attorney?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Report.
And you sound much better, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Commissioner Mathis?
Yes, sir. Good evening to everyone. And it's good to hear your voices, but I can't wait to get back into the auditorium so we can all meet face to face. And I hope that's coming soon. Just a few things. Thank you, Mr. City Manager, for those updates, for the dates for our upcoming workshops. Look forward to meeting with you and staff. I have one request for you, if possible. As I'm watching TV, there are several disturbances out in the tropics, and I don't know if you can please research the cost of starter hurricane kits. What I am thinking is that a lot of our citizens, because they've been taxed so much with things they've had to buy because of the coronavirus, COVID-19, and not being employed, what would it cost if we, the city, would purchase a couple of hundred starter hurricane kits to give to our citizens to help them out during this time? As you know, there was one near Texas, and there's several out there. So if you could do that research to see how much that was cost, and maybe we could purchase a couple of hundred to give to our citizens so they could be prepared for this time of the year. That was my first thing. Want to say thank you that we've been able to get a director in our library, Mr. Paul Schaefer, and can't wait to meet him. Thank you very much. And my last comments, you know, in life, we all have bridges that we have to cross, and United States Congressman John Lewis crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama for the last time on Saturday. And as he lies in state at the U.S. Capitol, I am so thankful for his sacrifice and leadership for justice. From his first speech of 15 to his last appearance at Black Lives Matter Plaza, I think that was in June, he never gave up his fight for equality. So to the family and friends of Congressman John Lewis, I offer my condolences. And he was known as Mr. Good Trouble. Mr. Good Trouble, may you rest in heaven. And as you lie in state, you are still making differences in our community. And that ends my comments, sir.
Well, Commissioner Mathis, thank you for your comments. And also thanks for honoring Representative Lewis this evening on behalf of all of us. So we appreciate that very much. I'd also like to mention when the city manager researches that over at the Emergency Command Center that we have in Hillsborough County, I believe they have those kits you're talking about, Commissioner Mathis. That's a great idea you have. And maybe we can, and if they do have them the way I believe they do, maybe there's some way we can coordinate that so we can take some type of responsibility here at the city to get those out to our citizens like that. But that's a wonderful idea as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dodson.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Good to hear your voices again tonight. You mentioned earlier that the consent agenda was full of significant work products that we're familiar with, but probably many in our community are not. But I'd like to comment on just a few of them because they did have such significance, especially in regards to the matter of cemetery operations. I want to congratulate our city manager, Bill McDaniel, for having taken lead in resolving some issues that we're all familiar with that's been occurring there for some time regarding information and accuracy on cemetery sites. And by the work product that he's embarking on now, I think we'll have that in hand and working in a much better manner than in past. So thank you very much for tackling that issue, Mr. City Manager. And in regards to road performance, we're going to see another very successful upcoming program to resurface more than $2 million worth of streets throughout the city. That's been identified in a list that was part of the consent agenda, and very happy to see the good work that's been conducted over the past number of years carried on. And our commitment to making certain that happens has been well documented, and look forward to this year's results through the balance of the summer through to completion. And also, I'd like to just say I'm looking forward to the planning code workshop that's scheduled for us on August 10th. This is an item that's been of personal interest to me for some time because of the matter of planning for development is critical by us staying ahead of what we wish for development to look like in Plant City instead of what developers want it to be entirely. So I think the intent behind dealing with some of those matters in an open and transparent way through the planning code and bringing it up to date in areas of deficiency where it leaves it too much at risk will be well regarded. And that's on August 10th. And then in regard to the meetings that we've got coming up with the budget preparations for personal meetings, and then the more formal presentation at our regular scheduled, beforehand scheduled at our city commission meeting on August 24th at that time. And then finally, I'd just like to say I'm looking forward also to the grand event that'll be held on August 13th, where we all get together with a number of people to witness the opening of the Sadie Gibbs Martin Community Center. And that will be a wonderful event that will showcase a building in which programs to benefit the community as a whole will come about at the beginning of that time. So that's going to be a great day, and I'm looking forward to that. And that concludes my remarks, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Dotson, and appreciate your remarks. And yes, we have a lot going on, and obviously we haven't put the city on pause. We're continuing to move the city forward through the pandemic that we're working through. But thank you for your comments this evening. Commissioner Sparkman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I concur with the comments already made by the commission, and I have no further comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Sparkman. Vice Mayor?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Your Honor. First, I want to congratulate and thank Chief Duncan for his service to Plant City. I joked with him before about the Hotel California rule. That's my usual thing when I don't want anybody to leave. You can check out, but you can never leave. And so hopefully he'll still be with us as much as he can. Really appreciate his leadership. And what we know to be true is that the integrity of any institution is based on the integrity of the people that lead it. And he's been a fantastic leader for our police force. And I'm grateful for our city manager and the work that he's doing to do a national search to make sure that that doesn't ever change for us. And really also thankful for our entire police force, and just want to make sure that if they're listening or they know that we appreciate everything that they do for us. Really also want to continue to lift up our community organizations, all of our churches, all of our nonprofits. You know, we're in a tough time right now and people are needing help, and they're rising to the occasion. And just want to encourage people to stay the course. We know it's a hard time right now, but we're going to continue to get through it. Also our hospitals, South Florida Baptist and Karen Kerr and the work that she does there, all of our doctors and nurses, really grateful for their work. And, you know, we've heard about the consent agenda and all the hard work, and people, you know, I hope know that we're not sitting back and just waiting. We're working hard right now, as hard as we possibly can, to keep moving things forward and meeting the needs of our citizens. And we're going to continue to do that because that's just who we are in Plant City. looking forward to the budget process, not just because it's numbers for me, but because the budget is about policy and priorities. And we've got a great year coming up, even with COVID. We're going to have some great things happening this next year, and really looking forward to talking about that, because it's not just about the numbers, it's about the great things that we're going to be doing with those numbers. And lastly, just grateful for Commissioner Mathis and her comments about Congressman Lewis. And I think he also had a nickname, the boy from Troy, if I'm not mistaken. And couldn't imagine what it would have been like for him to walk across that bridge the time that he did the first time. And really grateful for everybody who's celebrating the legacy that he's had for this country and the last time that he crossed that bridge. So those concludes my comments, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Well, I do concur with everyone's comments this evening. I just really want to thank our citizens in our city, because the character of our city obviously is best shown when we're when we're challenged, and we have obviously a lot of challenges. Our nation does, our state does, our county and our city does, and I'm just really proud of how our citizens have banded together, all of our nonprofits, like you said, Vice Mayor, and our business community, everyone coming together and trying to make the best out of the situation. And I always think we learn from challenging times, and so I think the lessons learned in this challenging time will move us forward and lead us forward for many years to come. And I'm so looking forward for us to be able to get back together in a room and rub elbows and take these agendas on and continuing to lift our city. So I appreciate all of the commissioners and our staff, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. I wanted to mention to Chief Duncan, I know that we're going to celebrate his 6 years, not just his 6th year, but his 45 years at a later date. And but it's a happy occasion, because I'm happy that after 45 years of such amazing service and with the legacy that he's left to his institution and of the police department, but also the 6 years that he's been with us. He's just been the epitome of a police chief, and so I'm happy that he's going to be able to walk off and retire. And if anyone in our city can scale Mount Everest, it's definitely our chief. He has the determination, the fitness, and he had also researched enough. He'd know what he was doing. So, but also it's sad because I know we'll all miss him. And even though he'll be in our city, we'll miss him in that capacity. And Mr. City Manager, you've got your job, set before you to be able to have a chief to be able to come in behind Chief Duncan like that. And that's big shoes to fill. So, but anyhow, I would like to ask the City Manager, I think he has something he'd like to clarify a little bit. So City Manager, would you like to let us know that I think there's a change?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not really a change. I just want to clarify the message on the event for August 13th. That is an invitation-only event that's not open to the public. And the reason for that is because of COVID-19, social distancing, and safety precautions. We have to limit severely the number of people that we can have in the vicinity for an event of that type. So the August 13th is an invitation-only event. We are planning on Friday the 14th and Saturday the 15th that we will open the brand new community center for community tours. We will be able to take small groups, and right now the tentative schedule is on the hour every hour, Friday and Saturday the 14th and 15th of August, for public tours of the brand new facility. And that is our schedule for the dedication. And once that is completed on the following Monday, the building will be open and in service. So we have a lot to look forward to in the middle of August.
Well, fantastic. Is there any other questions about that from the commission? Seeing none? Well, thank you so much, City Manager, for clarifying that. Okay, that ends our commission comments this evening. Madam Clerk, what's the next order of business?
Quasi judicial public hearing.
Okay. Anyone wishing to speak on items 6A and 6B in the agenda, if you're online, it's if you could please be sworn in by the city clerk at this time. Madam Clerk, please swear those individuals speaking in tonight's quasi judicial hearings.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
I'll need to read the resolution now.
Please proceed.
This is a quasi judicial public hearing on a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Plant City, Florida, approving the proposed plat of Walden Woods Unit 6B, a subdivision in Section 4, Township 29 South, Range 22 East, Hillsborough County, Florida."
Okay, this is a public hearing. Public hearing is open. I know we have a member from our city staff, Robin Baker, that will be speaking on behalf of the city. Ms. Baker, please proceed. Please state your sworn in.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. This is Robin Baker, Senior Planner with Planning and Zoning, and I have been sworn in. The request before you this evening is PB 2020-12, a final plat for Walden Woods Unit 6B. Next slide, please. This request for a final plat would establish a 149-lot single-family subdivision. The site is located at the northwest corner of East Alexander Street and Jim Johnson Road and is shown here outlined in red. The site is approximately 68.46 acres and is located within the Residential 12 Future Land Use category and part of the Walden Woods Industrial Plan Development District. Next slide, please. The Walden Woods Industrial PD was originally approved in 2015, but its most recent modification was reviewed by the City Commission and approved on March 12, 2018. The preliminary plat was reviewed and approved by the Planning Board on March 15, 2018, and as part of that preliminary plat, there was a request for a waiver to the requirement for reclaimed water lines. That request was reviewed by the Planning Board on April 12, 2018, where they recommended approval. The City Commission approved that same waiver request on May 29, 2018. Construction plans were approved in March of 2019, and at this time, construction is complete of the required improvements. Next slide, please. The graphic before you now is a single page from the final plat showing the overall layout of the plat. This particular plat was 20 pages long. I couldn't, put everything into the PowerPoint presentation, but this gives you an overall view of how the lots are laid out. Next slide, please. On June 24, 2020, the Planning Board found the final plat for Walden Woods Unit 6B subdivision consistent with the technical requirements of Chapter 94 and Chapter 102 of the Plant City Code of Ordinances, the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 177, Part 1 of the Florida Statutes, and the Plant City Standard Guide Manual for Construction and Subdivision Development. And the Planning Board voted 7-0 to forward the final plat to the City Commission with a recommendation of approval. Therefore, staff recommends that the City Commission adopt a resolution approving the Walden Woods Unit 6B final plat. I'm here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Does the Commission have any questions for Ms. Baker? Seeing none, thank you. Okay, this is a public hearing. In the notice of this public hearing, the public was advised to contact the city clerk at least 48 hours prior to the public hearing should anyone wish to speak. Madam Clerk, did anyone contact your office to speak at this public hearing?
Yes, Mayor Lott, we have Mr. Sean Cashin and Mr. Joe Cattuso representing the applicant available. No other persons have requested to speak at the hearing.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Cashin, are you on the line, sir?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, well, welcome to our meeting tonight and welcome to this public hearing. Would you please state that you've been sworn in?
Yes, I have been sworn.
And your address.
Sean Cashin, 13825 ICOB Boulevard, Clearwater, Florida. I have nothing to add to Ms. Baker's very thorough report, and I'm here to answer any questions that you all may have.
Okay. I'll tell you what, if, I'm going to ask Mr. Cattuso to speak as well, then I'll open up the commission to speak to ask either one of you a question, okay? Thank you. Mr. Cattuso, are you on the line, please?
Yes, I am.
Well, welcome to our virtual meeting this evening. I wish it was in person, but we're doing the best we can. Would you please state your name and address and that you've been sworn in?
My name is Joseph Cattuso. I live at 2921 West Santiago Street, Tampa, Florida, 33629, and I have been sworn in.
Well, thank you. Would you like to proceed, sir?
I have nothing else also to say. Like Sean said, Robin did a nice, thorough presentation, not only today, but the last time we were doing this back in June 24th. I represent the developer that is developing this site. So if there's any development questions, I can answer them.
Okay. Does the commission have any questions for either speaker? Seeing none, thank you very much. There being no other speakers, this hearing is now closed. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Commission to approve, Commissioner Sparkman.
Thank you, Commissioner Sparkman. Is there a second?
This is Commissioner Mathis, and I second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion approved by Commissioner Sparkman, a second by Commissioner Mathis. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Lott,
Yes.
Commissioner Dodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mathis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kilton.
Yes.
Thank you.
And it's approved with a vote of 5-0. Mr. Cashin and Mr. Cattuso, congratulations, and we're really looking forward to a quality product being built in our city and along with the other ones that we have in our community. And thanks for being online and participating in the public hearing this evening. You know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And please, once we're able to get together, please come by, and assist at City Hall in one of our commission meetings. Okay.
We will.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. There's also a resolution accepting a special warranty deed from AMH Development, Inc. regarding this plat. It goes along with this plat. What is the pleasure of the City Commission?
Commissioner Dodson, move to approve the warranty deed.
Commissioner Sparkman, second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Dodson, a second by Commissioner Sparkman. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Lott,
Yes.
Commissioner Dodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mathis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kilton.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the motion is approved with a vote of 5-0. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, next order of business.
Okay. This is a quasi judicial public hearing on a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Plant City, Florida, approving the proposed plat of Tillman Business Center subdivision, a subdivision in Section 4, Township 29 South, Range 22 East, Hillsborough County, Florida."
Okay. Ms. Sanchez, I know that you've been sworn in earlier, but for the record, if you could please state name and address and you've been sworn in, and then we'd love to see your presentation.
Thank you. This is Marlene Sanchez, planner with the Planning and Zoning Division, and I have been sworn in.
Please proceed, Ms. Sanchez, and good to see you this evening.
Thanks, you too. Next slide, please. This request is for a final plat for the Tillman Business Center subdivision, creating a 45-lot non-residential subdivision within the Walden Woods Industrial Plan Development District. The approximately 4-acre site is located off Tillman Place, east of Walden Woods Drive. There were no objections to the plat from reviewing agencies. Next slide, please. In 2007, the project started being developed with site plan approval by staff. The project consisted of multiple buildings on one parcel. Construction of the improvements were completed before the real estate market collapsed and the project stalled. The developer has restarted the project in the same design, but with the intent of subdividing and selling the individual building parcels. Next slide, please. This slide shows the lot layout of the plat. Next slide, please. On June 24th, 2020, the Planning Board found the Tillman Business Center subdivision plat consistent with Chapter 102 Plant City Zoning Ordinance and Chapter 94 Subdivision Regulations, Chapter 177 of the Florida Statute, and the Imagine 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and to forward the plat with a recommendation of approval. The recommendation is that the City Commission adopt a resolution approving the Tillman Business Center final plat. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Does any commission member have any questions or comments for Ms. Sanchez? Okay, thank you very much. This is a quasi-judicial public hearing. In the notice for this hearing, the public was advised to contact the city clerk at least 48 hours prior to this public hearing should anyone wish to speak. Madam Clerk, did anyone contact your office to speak at this public hearing?
Mayor Lott, we have Don Testa available. No other persons have requested to speak at the public hearing.
Mr. Testa, are you on the line this evening, sir?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Well, welcome to our virtual meeting, and this has been a long journey for you, and you know, I'm glad to see you pushing it forward. Can you please state your name and address, as well as please state that you've been sworn in?
Yes, my name is Donald Testa. My address is 13701 North Nebraska Ave, Suite 102, Tampa, Florida 33613, and I have been sworn in.
Okay. Mr. Testa, please proceed.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for you know, all the help in this process. I mean, I have nothing else to add to the excellent presentation that Ms. Sanchez gave, and just hope to look forward to your approval.
Any questions for Mr. Testa from the commission? Well, Mr. Testa, thank you for participating here this evening. And I'd like to say this, being that there's no other speakers, this hearing is now officially closed. What is the pleasure of the commission? Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I'll second. Commissioner Dotson.
Okay, so we have a motion by Vice Mayor Kilton and a second by Commissioner Dotson. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor, Commissioner Sparkman.
Mr. Sparkman, please proceed.
Thank you, sir. I want to commend the city manager. I had a comment or concern on this project, which I spoke with him about today. He immediately found the answers and satisfied my concerns, so I support this project. Secondly, though, I want to state that I am a property owner within that area, and I spoke with the city attorney today, and he ruled that I do not have a conflict, that I can vote for this. So I will be voting in support of this hearing. Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, thank you, and I'm sure glad you don't have a conflict as well. So any other questions or comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Lott,
Yes?
Commissioner Dodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mathis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kilton.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's approve with a vote of 5-0. Mr. Testa, congratulations, and we're looking forward to seeing you build a quality product there. So, and thanks for participating this evening.
Thank you to you and all the commissioners. Have a good night.
Madam Clerk, next item.
Other resolutions and ordinances. This is an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Plant City, Florida, amending Section 2-34 Plant City Code regarding regular meetings, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. I also have a resolution entitled, a resolution setting a public hearing on proposed amendment of an ordinance by the City Commission of the City of Plant City, Florida, in accordance with Section 166.041 Florida statutes and other applicable law. This resolution sets a public hearing on proposed enactment of said ordinance for a city commission meeting to be held on August 10th, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. here at the Sadie Gibbs Martin Auditorium of the Nettie Berry John Municipal Building.
What's the pleasure of the commission?
Your Honor, Commissioner Sparkman, motion to approve setting public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, this is Commissioner Mathis, and I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to set the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Lott,
Yes.
Commissioner Dodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mathis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kilton.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the public hearing is set with a vote of 5-0. That concludes this evening's meeting. I wish everyone well in Plant City, and commissioners and staff. Thank you so much. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.